Hello. I wanted to make a quick video about two things that I want to talk about. The first thing I want to talk about is my book that I wrote. It isn't out yet. It's still got 2 to 3 months until it comes out. I've been very particular on how things look, so it's taking me a little longer, which I'm okay with. Um, kind of preparing myself mentally for me actually having, something out into the world. Something I'm very passionate about, which is I don't know. I've always felt that I wanted to I think that a lot of people feel like this, but I've always wanted to help people. I just couldn't never figure out how, and, much like anyone else, like, I don't feel like my voice is prominent enough to feel like it's going to be effective, and I don't care anymore. That's where I am. Um, the book is called Between the Ashes and the End, and I really wanna get used to talking about it more. I wanna get used to actually being able to say what the book is about without getting nervous. I am very nervous. This is something that, um I have been wanting to do. I just didn't know how to do it, and also because the weight that it carries for me is heavy, because a lot of people would say that it affects not just me, but it affects other people as well, which I won't take that away from anybody. I won't say sharing my story isn't going to take away from other people, or it's not going to affect other people. Um, but that's not something that I'm willing to I'm not willing to stay quiet, um, in order so other people feel better about their existence. I don't hate them. I don't, want to cause them any turmoil, but, this is my story, and I control it, and that's okay. I felt a lot of guilt and shame. I carried it for years with my story. And that's what the book is about my upbringing. Um, I was abused for a long time during my childhood into my early teenage years by a family member. Um, and it affected my adulthood. And that's what I wrote about. Nothing, I mean, it was just realizations that I had realized how, what I went through, how it affected me, and how it still uh, had its grip on my life in adulthood, and how I was letting it control my life. And I woke up one day and I decided to no longer let it do that. And I came face to face with, you know, the parts of myself that were being still being controlled by it, and decided to change it. Um, so yeah, if it's something that you wanna read about, like I said, it's going to be called, Between the Ashes and the End, and it's still got a minute. It's 2 to 3 months, just because I'm being particular. My publisher coordinator says that she's like, "Oh, it's you deserve what you want." So, like, "You're so kind. Thank you so much." But yeah, so it'll get there, but I wanna get more comfortable talking about it, and even if it's to no one, I still wanna be comfortable talking about my book, because it's going to be out into the world, and, you know, someone's gonna read it, and I hope that it's helpful, because I think that it is important that we acknowledge that things happen and that we can move through it rather than it controlling us. And that's my intentions, which brings me to my next point. Now, there might be a cut in between here and now because talking on camera makes me nervous. Um, doesn't make me nervous. I just am not used to it. I used to stream World of Warcraft. So I used to actively stream, so you think I should be better at this. But I was never talking about things that actually that heavy on my heart, things that I actually thought about. And because as much as I love playing World of Warcraft or playing World, I played it. I don't play it right now, but it wasn't something that I wanted to continue doing because there were other things that I felt so strongly about, and that's humans. I like being human. I like humans. I think we're kind of cool. Um, I don't think this is my opinion. Obviously, this 100% is my opinion. All of this next point that I want to talk about is 100% my opinion. But humans are not inherently monsters. Humans are not inherently evil, despite what's going on right now and what people are choosing to do with their free will, the choices that they are making. But I still maintain that I don't think we are inherently monsters or inherently evil. Um, I think that obviously, not I think, I know we are capable of being evil and I know we are capable of being monsters. It's just how much are we willing to put into ourselves in order to not be like that. Which is my next this is literally the topic, is handling who we are as humans. That's intrusive thoughts, and emotions. Now, my opinion is that, obviously our emotions not obviously, I say obviously like it's something that's common, it could be, I don't know. But emotions and thoughts are guides. So I think the best way I can describe what my thought process on it is that when we have an emotion or fear or doubt, or anything that comes up that can be deemed as negative, we kind of stop and we say, okay, let's assess this before we move forward, before I make the decision. So if something like fear comes up and it's like, hey, I don't this happened this last time and this is kind of resembling the same circumstances, can we just pause real quick and just really see what could happen? And it's like, okay, I understand. I get what you're saying, but I'm still going to go ahead and go through with this because, I don't want to let that experience dissuade me from not doing something that I feel so strongly about, which is making a video. That was really my experience. Hang on. So then you have your thoughts. I think thoughts kind of go hand in hand with obviously your emotions. Your thoughts pop up based off of obviously fear, um, doubt, guilt, shame, and then also experiences, things that you experience in life, things that you were shown or things that you were taught, because your brain now knows that humans are capable of doing something. So your brain will say, hey, almost like a check in, like, hey, humans are capable of this. Are we like that? And it's one of those things where it's just I'm not gonna say intrusive thoughts aren't terrible. They are. They're not, I think, the best part about being human because, you'll sit there and you're like, "Oh, what if I just throw myself down the stairs?" I think that's the most common one. Or, "No, I'm not gonna ram my car into the side of the wall." Like, that's crazy. It's just, like, really random thoughts, and they just pop into your head, and you're just like, "I would not ever do that. Why would you even?" But it's just one of those things that it's your brain knows that people are capable of it, so it's like, "Hey, are we gonna do this? Like, is that us?" And it's like, "Nope, not me. I appreciate you checking in to make sure that that's not what I'm gonna do, but no, I'm not gonna do that because I don't want my thoughts to control me. I don't want my emotions to control me." I have the worst. I don't know if there's a hair there. I have my camera right there so I can see my face, and I'm like, "I don't know if there's, like, hair right there, but it is itchy." Anyways, so I don't want my thoughts to control me. I don't want my emotions to control me. I want to live this life fully conscious and fully aware. Obviously, with what I have dealt with, um, what I my upbringing and what I had gone through, I think it is something worth talking about. Um, I will say that if you do something wrong and you decide to succumb to, your thoughts and you make choices, that's a choice that you made and there are consequences to those choices. There's no around ways to say that. I 100% think that if you go with the thought, and you are like, "Yeah, I'm gonna become that person," you became the person the moment you decided that you were going to be the person. I think that if you are toying with the thought or you're starting to follow the thought and really have conversations with that thought, then you might wanna reel it back maybe a little bit, not maybe, um, but just you don't have to. That's not who you are. I'm gonna say that. That's to me, that's not who we are. We're not the impulses, we're not the desires, we are not the darkness. We are we are the decision makers. We are the observers, we're not the storm. Um, we can live in the darkness and not become the darkness. So it's just kind of that ideology that I carry around is that's not me. That's not who I am. And I'm not saying that it's easy. And I'm not saying that it's not going to be work. It's 100% work. But the generations that come after, I think, would be worth it. This is specifically my what I went through. Um, it's been an issue in the world for a very long time. It's plagued so many generations, so many kids, so many bloodlines. It has really affected how we think because when something happens to us, we often think, oh, that's who we are. And it's not. It's a thought, because it's something we experienced, or it's what we saw, or what, oh, I have what I don't know what is going on. What we saw or what we were taught, but we can acknowledge it. We can sit there and say, "Yeah, I hear you. I see you." and I understand, but you are not me and I am not you. We are here to coexist together. They're it's a guiding sort of thing. Because obviously it's showing at you everything you don't wanna be, so you become the person you want to be, right? You're like, "Oh, I don't wanna be that." So you just choose the steps that you do want to be. And I'm not saying that some people aren't bad naturally, but there's a capability of being not that. And I want to really open conversations for people to realize that you aren't your thoughts, um, and you can choose to be not choose to be, but there's this sense of, self-awareness, not sense, it's mm, it's choosing self-awareness, choosing self-understanding, self-compassion, gentleness. Especially if you did experience something, I know that, people who were offended or who were, hurt or harmed or were shown or taught this way of life, there is that possibility that they do offend later on, that they do offend later on in their life. And how do we how do we stop How do we stop that from happening? How do we actually have these conversations? And obviously, yes, I think once you go that direction, um, that's you have to answer to earthly laws. You have to answer to, wrongdoings. I don't think that's something you can escape. I don't think you can't escape. Well, I mean, some people somehow manage to escape that. I think there needs to be more, for people who do that, I feel like there needs to be harsher punishments. Um, but I do think that if we could jump in front of people even believing that that's who they are, because I think a lot of people know that's not who they are. They just go that route because they feel like there's no other way. Um, and that's really what I wanted to talk about. Um, don't fear your mind. Your mind is not here to punish you, and don't punish your mind for doing exactly what it's supposed to do, which is just ask questions and making sure. And I know that it doesn't seem like it because it seems like, oh, this thought popped in, so that must be who I am. And it's not who you are. And you don't have to follow it, and you don't have to go down the path. You can make a better choice. And I think it's important that we take the time to understand ourselves and to have self awareness and self compassion and be gentle with ourselves. I know a lot of people, not a lot of people, but I know people are like, oh, here we go again, gentle parenting. It's a gentle reparenting, okay, first of all right. I do believe that the harder you are on yourself, the more you are just going to hate the experience. Because you're not meant to be hard on yourself. You're supposed to just say, I understand that you went through something. I understand that you went through something or you were taught something. There's nothing wrong with being understanding of somebody else's circumstances. The part that we have to be hard on is it's okay. I understand, but if you make a decision, you have to live with the consequences. Um, that's something that we can all acknowledge is that Yes, it sucks to go through things 110%, but you do not have to become the person who hurt you. You do not have to become the people who taught you that that's how life is. Um, I went through and I'm not saying I don't wanna say this, but I went through, um, you know, being abused. I don't at all think that that's who I am. I d I know that's not who I am because I do genuinely I know what it's like to go through that, and I know that it sucks, and I would not ever put that on somebody else because I I know that that's not how life should be, and that's not how we should not put kids through that, especially kids, and I really genuinely want to help the next generation of not next generation, but, like, generations after. It's like, what can we do now to start changing how we think and how we feel? It's by recognizing that we are not our thoughts, we are not our emotions. We They do not control us. We are not controlled by our impulses, our desires. We are 100% here to have a great experience free from the belief that we are limited by our earthly body. I mean, obviously within limit, because, this is Earth and there are limits, but not in the mind. So, anyways, I won't ramble on too much longer. I hope that made sense. And I genuinely want um, the world to be a better place for everybody. And if we can't do it one way, we'll figure it out another way, right? That's what I think. So I just want to say I hope you have the greatest rest of your day. And I genuinely hope your mind is kind to you today. And that's all I have to say. Okay. Goodbye.